something extraordinary is about to unfold. Over the next several weeks, Dr. Paul Drouin will unveil a powerful new series of music videos, a stunning visual journey through his life, his calling, and his groundbreaking career. Created in conjunction with his highly anticipated new book, The Medicine of Consciousness, A Doctor's Journey Beyond Conventional Medicine, set to be released later this year, this series brings his story to life like never before. Using the latest advancements in AI-driven music and cinematic video creation, each release blends innovation with inspiration, transforming decades of experience in holistic health, alternative medicine, and the founding of Quantum University and Project Noosphere into an immersive audio-visual experience. This is more than a series of videos. It's the story of a doctor who stepped beyond convention, who explored the frontiers of consciousness, and who helped pioneer a new vision of medicine for the world. New videos will premiere each week. Be among the first to witness this extraordinary journey. Subscribe to the Quantum University YouTube channel and experience every powerful release as it unfolds. The journey begins now.
Welcome everybody to this other chapter of Masterclass, the Medicine of Consciousness. And today we're exploring a very important step in the creation, manifestation of university. We are in 2004, and of course, you listened to the previous video about the spark, that has started my quiz. But then, when at the beginning, I had to lay out this curriculum. And a curriculum cannot be the work of one person. It needs an orchestra, and we need other faculty. And there is an event that happened in 2004, the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? This is what we will go through. And the first player to be part of this renowned faculty was Dr. Amit Goswami. You will see, element of how this happened, and we'll talk about it later. So enjoy this video and welcome to this master class on the medicine of consciousness.
Walking with the Master. The year the veil thinned, I saw the world begin to listen. A film spoke of light and mind, and I felt the old science tremble. What the bleep they called it, but to me it was prophecy. A doorway swinging open to the living heart of quantum being. Students came with shining eyes asking, are we the dreamers or the dream? I smiled, knowing that the answer was already pulsing in their breath. For consciousness, the ancient one, was awakening through us all, seeking to remember itself in the dance of healer and field. Then came the meeting, the one destined by resonance. A name upon a page, Amit Goswami, and a voice that spoke as if the universe itself were thinking aloud. I traveled to Oregon with my son, carrying cameras, curiosity, and faith. We filmed in a small room of light, speaking of downward causation. Non-local love, the music of consciousness, the secret pulse of creation. But it was not theory being recorded. It was transmission. The field listening through us, the silence humming between every word. Later in Hawaii, the conversation deepened into stillness. We walked along the edge of the Pacific, barefoot, salt touching our ankles. The sky dissolving into violet dusk, the world seemed to lean closer, as if to overhear eternity. I asked Amit, what does it mean? Consciousness is the ground of all being. He turned to me and smiled. The ocean does not rise to meet the wave. The wave remembers it was always the ocean. Those words entered me like light. The teacher became the master. The master became the field, and I, the listening shore. Every breath mirrored the tide, each heartbeat echoed the stars. I was no longer learning, I was remembering. We spoke of healing and intention, of the brain rewired by love, of cells that sing when belief becomes truth. Lipton, Dispenza, McTaggart, voices in the same constellation. Each one a ray of the same dawn. Quantum University was forming, not from ambition, but from coherence. A school of light building itself around a single vibration. Awareness. Years pass, yet I still hear his laughter in the surf, in the wind, in the pause between one thought and the next. When I teach, he walks beside me still. When I close my eyes, the footprints merge, his and mine. Until there is no master, no student, only the one walking itself home.
This was a very important moment in the history of Quantum University. And, that is also in 2004 for the whole field of student people that were interested in this quantum medicine. And the bleep, what do we know, was very popular at that time. That was probably one of this first movie talking about consciousness. And you have all these scientific coming and participating to this project. And then when I saw Dr. Amit Goswami for the first time, this is, wow, what he's talking about. Consciousness is the ground of everything. And then you have also the other participant, Dispenza was there, and Lynn McTaggart, and Lipton and others. And I said, hey, they need to be part of the university, part of the curriculum. And then let's start the conversation there, Dr. Tara.
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you, Dr. Paul. That's incredible stories. I know always you have this amazing how all these events come together to create this Quantum University. Can you share the story of how you first met Dr. Goswami? Were there any meaningful synchronicities or unexpected events that led to your meeting and collaboration?
So along this journey, you will see this in the other the other video, the next chapter. There is all the time synchronicity that happen to you when you start to meditate. In other words, it's like every day I go in meditation, and then the life starts to manifest what is in line with your purpose. And of course, my purpose was, to create a university that has a curriculum that can understand the subtle energy, and then and this is what's happened. So in other words, I saw the bleep. I said, these guys need to be in the university, and I tried to reach them. And then they were all in the first year. They were all lecturing around. Everybody wanted to grab them in conference. But Dr. Goswami, differently, he has to go India because the mother of his wife at that time, passed away, and she had to be there. So he kind of missed the first year of the movie. And then, I just forget about it. And then one day I see the book, The Quantum Doctor. I said, hey, I need to read this book. And I didn't make the relation with Dr. Amit Goswami. And then reading the book, I said, hey, this is, kind of the foundation. You have to understand when you lay out a curriculum, you need the theoretical foundation. So how quantum physics apply to healing? You have to know that I'm already reading about quantum physics when I was in my 18, but there was no way to relate this to your personal life, Einstein and the time, and try to figure how this applied. But then when the movie came, it's like, we saw how quantum physics can be more concrete, can be applied. And then I said, oh, I have to read this book. And reading the book, then I made the connection with Dr. Amit Goswami, called him, and then here start the whole friendship between us, and we go in Oregon, as say the movie, and you will see more detail in the book later on. And that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing because, first I would not say nervous, but very impressed with his pedigree, his credential, quantum physics teacher at Oregon University. And then this is where I start the conversation. And then, of course, in the book, I found a kind of these, what he explained, what are the gifts of quantum physics to healing? And then he laid out the first principle, non-locality, entanglement, which is so important. And then also the discontinuity. And then later on, of course, I lay out the 10 principles as we go, we enroll the whole curriculum. And then and also there is this experience, this is what I try to communicate in the video. When you walk with the doctor, in some way at the beginning, you try to figure out with your head, what it is, what he's talking about. And many students does the same thing, it's like you think with your mind, you can grasp this idea of consciousness, the ground of everything. But after a while, you realize, you need to experience this, and this is why meditation is there. But being in presence with him, walking on the beach and meditating with him, then I was experiencing what he's talking about. That was very amazing. And then from there, of course, Dr. Amit Goswami brought the other players, Ling Mitigard. He was friend with all these people. And then Ling Mitigard, Drew Dispenza. And then after that, Dr. Lipton. So they were like some kind of foundation to the curriculum. And this is at that time I talk about an orchestra, You cannot play the symphony yourself. And for me, coming in America also, of course, I already was carried this idea, but I discovered that people already renowned first people that has published all over the world, but I found also a community all over the world that was aligned with this kind of teaching, and you will see. As it goes, many experience like this of synchronicity happen. And this is also, I welcome you, to go to this. Sometimes you say, oh, how will lay out this plan or what I want to do. But if you tune with this field, this consciousness, things start to, I wouldn't say by magic, synchronicity, event happen that you cannot create them by yourself. It's not. Today, I would like to do the same. The same is almost impossible. Something different is happening. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible story. Wow. So many of our students are already familiar with Dr. Goswami's work. Is there something about him that people don't usually know, or perhaps a personal quality, experience, or lesson that had really impact on you?
yeah. So, of course, his spontaneity, uh, and then expressing these complex idea of consciousness and quantum physics, and laying out what he called the principle, as I said, that apply to healing. I think that was very original for him because he had also the same challenge. If you read the book, and the book is also part of our curriculum at the beginning, we have a class, and then and that originally was the quantum doctor. Now it's the title has changed, but he explained that his spontaneity and finding this, because he had also the challenge he was also digging and trying to understand how quantum physics will relate with healing. And then someday you will see in his book, he has also an encounter, and he realized, this great idea of consciousness that is not something separate, but within you, and where this manifestation comes. And of course, we have refined this. It's not because at the same, you have to understand fundamental science, and then later on, we need to apply this, in technology and, acupuncture and homeopathy and prevention and this, and in other words, from that, fundamental aid concept, its role in the whole curriculum. And later on, of course, Nassim Haramein with the United Field refined also this idea. So he had more what he called the mechanic of consciousness. So,
wow, all of Dr. Goswami's contribution, which do you believe has had the greatest impact on healthcare, consciousness, and integrative medicine, and why?
yeah, this impact again, he come with this basic principle that I'm talking about. But at the same time, students will say, hey, I already were aligned with this, but I didn't have the word to express, how this work. I didn't, and we start to define a language to communicate something that previously, was more complex with Einstein, so nobody could make some application of it. So in other words, I can see this in my students. Many will come and say, hey, I didn't know how to express this. We create a vocabulary to communicate also with the conventional medicine, because conventional medicine doesn't necessarily have the word to express this concept. And this was attempted before, with other approach. Genetic was one of them, or, just to mention one. But when he came with this, concepts that are more coming from a physicist, that are more scientific. Now he lay out a vocabulary that conventional medicine can relate with it. But of course, there's still a long way to go when it's accepted by everybody. But today, the idea of holistic medicine, prevention, acceptation of all model of medicine, acupuncture, yoga, they don't necessarily understand how everything works, but we have a frame to understand what is subtle energy and what is the prana and all these concept of life force and vital energy that could not get grabbed by science. They just discount everything. It's like we don't understand it. Everything to heal has to be pharmaceutics, surgery, nothing else. So now, and then they have rejected the whole ancient model of healing that has century because they relate more to energy, subtle energy. Now, Dr. Goswami in some way laying out principles that apply from quantum physics, make a language to communicate these old ancient model of medicine, and then in some way they become more acceptable. They more acceptable, and then they will make their way to conventional medicine later on. They will bridge these two words that doesn't have necessarily the vocabulary to communicate together.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow. Now, when you first met Dr. Goswami was back in 2024. Now looking back, talking about all these concepts of quantum physics principles that apply to health. Now, when you look back, do you believe the scientific community is now beginning to appreciate it more, all of those ideas over time?
Oh, yeah, I think so. You should know, because I'm carrying this idea now for 40, 50 years. just talking about meditation years ago, I remember this journalist who said, published an article, what he said, this strange doctor or something like this. But today, what is the doctor that is not recommending yoga? They is not recommending changing lifestyle. They're not looking at other alternative. And yeah, there is an opening that is there that was not there before. And understand that you have the same percentage of doctor that are conventional medicine that are open to these ideas that you have in the population. That's what you have to our student. And by the way, they join your quantum university now because now it's more modern to offer integrative medicine alternative, and they don't necessarily understand from their conventional curriculum. Because myself, I study medicine. I know what it is. I know what is the challenge. So they won't understand how work holistic medicine, how work energy. And this is why we have nurse, practitioner that join the university. It's a huge percentage, and medical doctor too. And sometimes retired doctors, also. So this opening is there more than before. And I repeat again, the vocabulary to communicate. Because if we look at the past vocabulary, homeopathy, was nice, but Hahnemann 300 years ago could not penetrate the conventional medicine because they speak about dilution, memory of water, and then for some doctors, it's just like etheric. And acupuncture, they recuperate a part of it, but based on endorphin, they just extract everything that has to do with energy, Taoist medicine, the yin, the yang. And same thing in natural medicine, vital force, it's like, for them, was not like, was more, they could not grasp this idea. Now it's way more. So in other words, these pioneers, and Dr. Goswami is one of them. And if you go in the bleep, you have others that has kind of adapt these concept. Dr. Dispenza, his idea of consciousness and changing behavior and habits applying to, and this is so important because one of the major challenge in medicine has to do with lifestyle and changing habits. Most of the time, the patient, the client will choose to die instead to let go this and let go that. And so changing habit is very difficult. So he engineered, a way to change your way of thinking. Lynn got the same way, the power of intention. Lipton, came with the epigenetic. People don't realize how the Darwinism is, put the medicine, conventional medicine, in a box where when you have a diagnostic, you cannot alter your genetics. In other words, you don't have no possibility of spontaneous healing. You cannot get out of this box. So, and then Dr. Lipton, a geneticist and scientist, came with an idea that no, your health destiny is not predestined, is not aligned necessarily with your gene. So all these ideas that are rolled in the curriculum today are very modern, and was in a necessity to have this foundation, to lay out this curriculum, because the curriculum is like, grabbing the concept that is not in conventional medicine, and most of the time will be done. The conventional medicine will say it's non-scientific. I'm not saying we have now the whole hard ground for, breaking the wall of conventional medicine, but at least we have a foundation there. that will keep to evolving with Quantum University with other pioneers like Nassim Haramein. He had also other idea that go more in the mechanic how works this field and this consciousness.
Yes, without a doubt, quantum medicine is the future of healthcare. So we have another video, right, Dr. Paul? Do we want to move to our next video and then take questions
No,
from
no, no. This time we have one video. I think it's
one
good
video?
enough
Okay.
to digest. We will take question, and people didn't see if they have missed previous class. Just go on our YouTube channel. So again, you go on YouTube, you look for Quantum University, and we post there the previous video, and of course the 1, 2, 3. Now it's like the chapter 5 of the book. And then it's like continuity, first, the origin, the sparkle, you saw that I'm born from a trauma. And then I was in a quest. And then as it goes, and you will see as the book, the Consciousness of Medicine book evolves, you will see how this idea refined as it goes. So please, go back. You saw it before. You can see it again. You have song that goes with it. It's very inspiring. And I don't know if we have questions now this time.
Yes, please type your questions and we will add all these previous videos to our course site as well, so you can watch if you missed our last sessions.
So I thought it was important to express this in the book. I have originally wrote a one creative integrative medicine, but to see how the Quantum University has been created, evolved, my idea was also to reveal the inner, what's happened, in the inner process, within consciousness, what's happened, because it's not Quantum University is particular because it's not like you write the plan and then like other universities, they start with budget and tremendous money. It's not the way. Start from nothing, from scratch, and then from within. And it's the story of everybody. Most of the time you are a student, you don't know how your journey will unfold. Most of the time you can see the obstacle. They could be financial. Some people come say, "Oh, I'm too old." Another one would say, "I don't have the financial." Especially today in our context, people are them looking to financial resource. But every month we come with this some grant or a word or humanitarian award to help the student. The money should never be one of your obstacle, because if it's the main question is all the time the passion. Remember at the beginning, people think I had the resource. No, I didn't have any resource, just a dream. And then that dream has evolved in 110 countries and 10,000 students and a huge network, and even myself, but I didn't have like a roadmap. And this is how it works with consciousness. You don't know exactly the roadmap. You need to connect with your purpose, your passion, and this is what is the student at the door. In other words, it's not like, hey, wellness medicine now is a way to make money. Yes, the universe will take care of you, of your need. What you have to kind of assess at the beginning is your passion. Is it because a healer, a doctor, it's not just an ordinary job. It's someone that heals, and it's more like I would say, it's an old word, okay? Vocation. In other words, it's like it has to be your purpose, and you need to have this heart to heal and compassion and so on. So this is what is important at the beginning. The rest, how this will be the how, and I'm not the first one to say that, is very difficult to figure out, because as it goes, synchronicity here and synchronicity there, and then of course you may go to sometimes challenge that you may think, oh, it's not possible, but then here and there an event will happen, an opportunity will happen, and then the creativity will be in the process. So and who is here listening at this time now, they should reflect on that. So in other words, this is why I wrote the book. It's like I'm also in some way a sample of what is a student, that is, one day I encounter this pain with my brother who suffer, and then I want to find the solution, and then and I hear this also from other students. They had a family member, or they question themselves about their health. They want to explore other path. So it's the same, and they maybe don't know exactly how this will happen, but it's like your intention, your alignment with your purpose. This is what's matter at the beginning.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. I have a question. How have Dr. Goswami's ideas evolved over the years? And are there any concepts you see differently today than when you first met him?
Oh yeah, this has evolved. This is Dr. Amit Goswami is like a sparkle. Okay, consciousness, the ground of everything. But you have to refine this. And not only this, fundamental science is a step, but after that you have what we call applied science. In other words, this seed of idea has been also expressed and expressed in other course. That's Dr. Amit Goswami, I think, has like 5 classes in the curriculum. Another one on evolution, and I don't have all the lists, but he has rolled this concept in other. But after that, you cannot stop there, because the student has to know how I use this now in practice. So, and then this is where came the other players, Dr. Dispenza in behavior. And then we also work today with the technology that has been expressed in the exponential healthcare. How you evaluate the client, how you relate with the client. This also is very important if you think about coaching a relation, as when you inject the idea of entanglement, that changed totally the relation with the client. Because when I was in medical school, they would say, hey, you separate with your client, please don't, fusion, or, don't listen to mother, don't listen. So in other words, when you start to understand the entanglement, it changed the whole relation. So this has been expressed in our coaching course, the ethic, the one student done his paper on the outcome of the relation, the way you think, and the understanding of this entanglement will modify the outcome of the client, the result. In other words, if you walk in the room and you come with a challenge of chronic disease, if you are in a box and the doctor or the practitioner don't believe that you can get out of this box, then the outcome is determined by your genes. So in other words, it's like this is how you can spontaneously heal. So this is very important. And then The power of intention is very important. It has been reflected also in the project Noosphere, the way to evaluate the client, because most of the time people work with the diagnostic, and this is conventional medicine. And then you have it's another box, diagnostic treatment. So in other words, you need to evaluate what we call the health potential. And we designed this quantum evaluation system where you start to look at what are, the relation between the emotional component and the problem that the client has. So this is another course. We work with tools like the biofield, the GBV, that evaluate the energy of the neural check. So another one, assessment that will reflect the subtle energy, the live blood microscopy that can monitor the oxidative process. So all these applications come from a deeper understanding that trying to grasp not necessarily the disease, but what is beyond the disease. The way the health potential has been, in some way has to be realigned to heal. So in other words, holistic approach integrative is totally another process that is not necessarily based on treating and pharmaceutic, no. And the tool to do this, are different. And this is what we teach at Quantum University. What are the others? There's so many. So in other words, the curriculum has to lay out the foundation, another understanding that is broader, that can grasp the health potential of the individual. And then after that application that, what I do next, homeopathy is another subject that we address. Yes, because for 300 years ago, it has been out there and at some time was, the main medicine. But, how we can implement this. So we have the homeopathy, homotoxicology. So the curriculum go to all the demand. Nutrition is another aspect that is very important. Vital force with the naturopathy. Evaluation of the individual also accordingly to the 5 pillars. Because it's not just about, again, treating. No, it's about how you assimilate. How you monitor immunity and regeneration. So this curriculum is the work of 20 years and more, but also participating people, this renowned doctor that also has a scientific foundation. So this is what is Quantum University. And you can get in Quantum University at a different level, you are a nurse, you want to add a credential of doctor to your practice, doctor integrative medicine, you are a massotherapist, doctor natural medicine. But we also have level where, I want just to start as a coach. So we can also start from there. And then you don't have to wait 3-4 years before you generate income. So this is what we have created also at Quantum University. We have created a model that you can already start to implement these concepts at the coaching level, and you can already generate income. So you're not like these old university that are not popular anymore because they were going for 3-4 years for degrees, and then at the end of the day they don't have a job. No, you could be part of this new wellness or healthcare system where you can already generate income, as you study. And I really encourage this because I study all these different alternatives when I was in the practice of my medicine, and I will implement them as I am learning and studying.
Wonderful. Okay, so what is the next chapter now that you're here? So what is the next chapter in your book? Everybody wants to know what we expect to
The next
chapter.
one, oh boy, I have to go back. After Dr. Amit Goswami. Yeah, the thing we're talking about the exactly the curriculum. So I learn as it goes. The one who heals is the one is right. So we have a chapter about what I call the matter. Uh, Alma mater. Alma mater is a Latin word to express, the place, the university. So an alma mater that heal is the one that is right. So in other words, I can go medical school. I learned a lot in medical school. I'm not saying, I reject everything I learned this, and conventional medicine has done a lot of progress. But the dark side is iatrogenic medicine. In other words, the side effect of the treatment of the pharmaceutic. Do you know that is in the third place? So now when I say the alma mater that here is the one is right, and we have story of student that being coming to the university has found a solution for their problem. Not saying everybody will heal necessarily, but we have really striking testimony of student that went through a very difficult challenge in their life, from cancer, chronic disease, and so on. So one of the next chapter is about the alma mater that heal is the one that is right. And you will see evolve these also these idea of the not only the biofield, but also reflect in what the Marguerite de Serigny teach in our program, the Taoist medicine. We call that the rainbow body. This is a very fascinating concept.
Fascinating,
And
yeah.
I'm not the only one to talk about the rainbow body. And others has talked about it. So in other words, it's like, what is what is the anatomy of the subtle energy? That was another, for me, a focus that is very interesting. Because medicine is born, I will say, maybe 300 years ago, when they start trying to understand, and Da Vinci was one of also pioneer, but they done something that it was very scandalous at that time. They will dig in the ground and find bodies, try to and cadaver, and they try to understand, how work this mechanics, this physical, and years going, they were able to, design and understand the anatomy. That was the beginning of medicine. And at some point in the evolution of university, I was saying, hey, now we have the subtle energy, but there's also an anatomy that goes with it. So in other words, it's like you want to understand how work energy, but what is the anatomy of this subtle energy? And I found that Taoist medicine is probably the one that offer a model that is, I can relate with. And another synchronicity, one day I met this master Taoist, Marguerite de Serigny, that was a French lady, very fascinating. And she will also blend other science with this. And this is another synchronicity. I had a friend acupuncturist. She said, "Oh, you should meet this lady." I said, "No, I don't want something new. I study so much in my life." But then she insists, and then I met this. And that was another encounter, the type that, when I met Dr. Goswami. And then one of my also not concerned, but search is like, why someone, with the same problem, same cancer, one will last, for 5 years, and the other one is will pass in 5 months. What is, you have to look when you met your client, how you evaluate the potential of this client, and then she helped me to understand this. And then also the Taoist medicine that explain also this energetic system. People all of them refer to the chakra, but she was a little bit more refined. She would speak about, of course, meridians and another concept that is the quas, I call in the where you recharge your energy. But not only that, how this relates with a spectrum of emotion, if you have a lack of forgiveness, or if you have a lack of, or if you have fear, or if you have this, how this will reflect on your meridian acupuncture system, how this will reflect on your health. So Taoist medicine offer a window to understand this. And that was also another chapter. I think we have 2 or 3 chapters talking about this. And then later on also I discover I kind of a dig in meditation, because originally I learned from when I went in Switzerland, transcendental meditation, but later on, I found also how the crystal, specific crystal can enhance, the meditation. So I went a little bit deeper in this. And then, of course, the history of the noosphere. The death of my brother was the sparkle to start my quest. I have also a challenge with one of my grandson. He was the one that, sparkled the noosphere project. And then I went to Egypt, and as I travel here around, and many times I go to this experience of enlightenment, that put me in direction and another. And this is how the university was created, but also how my exploration went a little bit deeper. So I don't want to say everything about the book, but you will see chapter after chapter. And again, I invite you to go on the YouTube channel if you have missed some episodes, so you can make a link between all these chapters. And this is not a conventional book. In other words, it's like, of course, I read in the chapter. You can read it like a conventional, but after that, you saw this today, I illustrate this with video. I illustrate this with a graphic and, with this new technology. And why having some lyric that goes with it? Because, how many people will understand idea, not necessarily with the mental, academic understanding, more through emotion and more through, poetry. And this is why with every chapter comes some lyrics, and then also videos. In other words, trying to communicate the reality of what I want to express. So I found this very, and myself, I've listened this video many times and sung, and they inspire me, because they are in some way the refinement of my thinking, my meditation, and so on.
I watch those videos over and over again. It's incredible. There is a story behind every chapter, every course, and that's what makes this book so fascinating and meaningful for our students, because it offers a glimpse of into people you met and experiences, inspirations, and that's everything that shaped our each course. So if you don't have any questions, we can wrap up this course, this master class. And do you have anything to add, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, we're also putting in the noosphere. If people has visited this before, it's a 3D website where you can literally be inside this pyramid, and there will be a corner where we will have the book with all the chapter. So this is also coming next. The book should be published in 2-3 months. And then we have also a graduation. I'd like to be informing people. And in Las Vegas this year. Why Las Vegas? Because we're working also with the NMAB, American Naturopathic Medical Accreditation Board, and NMA. And this is where, in some way, I was at the beginning to start the university. Most of the college, school, or institutes that teach natural medicine are associated with these boards. And then this year, instead to do it, we don't have it in Hawaii. We do it in Las Vegas with this event of the ANMA, American Naturopathic Medical Association. So in other words, the cost is lower. Going there for many people is like a straight flight, and the hotel is very more affordable. I think $50-$60 a night. So, and then, will be easier. And we're doing the graduation there. So in other words, the people that are graduating this year will walk there. And the student come also could participate to the event. You will also give a conference, and I will also talk there. And of course, Quantum Universities, went there originally. And now after 20 years, now 22 years, we have expanded to all over the world. So they are very excited for that. They see us coming back. And then we will be there exposing this idea of quantum medicine and consciousness. And so I think it would be very exciting. And students like also to be exposed to other, practitioner or knowledge, and see how we fit in the whole picture of holistic medicine.
Thank you, and we all look forward to seeing you in our in-person graduation and in our next webinar. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul.
Be clear, we don't have a graduation at Hawaii.
Yes.
We will have it there this year to make a change, make it more affordable and accessible for traveling for everybody.
And all our previous graduates from years ago, anybody can join this in-person graduation. And if you're planning to graduate, you're a student, and you need some support, please let us know. We are here to help you and get you ready you still have time. We will get you ready for our graduation, and look forward to seeing you all.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, and see you in 2 weeks,
Thank you.